Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Pretty Suited Podcast. I am your host, Lauren A. And today we're going to talk about a topic that has literally broke the internet last week when it came down to one of our R&B darlings, Summer Walker. Most people love Summer Walker. She is one of those artists that when she came out with her debut album, Over It, she had this kind of relatability about her that just reminded you of a homegirl that you knew. Right? We all have a homegirl who might be a little shy. She may not be that sure of herself, but you know she's extremely talented. And she's funny when you guys get behind closed doors or if she knows you very well. So everybody knows a Summer Walker. But Summer Walker this past week, she shed some light on some topics that a lot of people kind of shy away from because of fear of embarrassment or just, they don't want all their business out there. And if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, she was recently online going back and forth with a woman by the name of Tori Bricks, who's like a social media influencer. And she just so happens to be the child's mother of a man named Rich the Kid. This guy is also an artist. And, they have been kind of off and on for years, Tori and Rich. But in the meantime, we found out that Summer Walker has been seeing him too. But amongst all of the riffraff and just the behind the scenes information, what I like to focus on, because here on Pretty Suited, we like to talk about personal development when it comes to some of these things. But Summer Walker taught me something this week. For her new album, Finally Over It, which, by the way, is a really good album. She has some really good features on this album. This is basically like a conclusion to her trilogy of Over It, Still Over It, and now Finally Over It. So we have been anticipating this piece of work. And, I think her fans were satisfied with some of the stuff that she put out, with her singles, with her features. But to put the icing on the cake was this outrageous story of something leaked where we found out that Summer Walker was pretty much pleading on the phone with Rich the Kid about wanting to be a part of his life. But beyond just wanting to be a part of his life, she basically was expressing her lackadaisical attitude about him being in a relationship currently. A lot of times we get into situations where we know we're not fit for or that's not fit for us, and we kind of go along with it anyway just for the sake of, or out of pure loneliness, or whatever the case may be. But I want to break this down into just a little bit more detail and how this relates to a lot of decisions that we make as women or as people as a whole. Summer Walker put herself in a position of what some would like to call desperation. Right? In the new era of the city girl mentality where everyone has a mindset of you use me and I use you, she thought that it would be a good idea to come online and express her apathy of wanting to be a part of a man's life who was not her own. And not only was he not her own, he was also involved with a woman and had no intentions on leaving that woman so that way that they could be together. Could they have been talking? Could they have been together? Could they have been intimate? Yes, of course. However, the way that it was perceived was that he was still currently in a relationship and that Summer was aware of this relationship but really did not care. And her apathy towards the situation, while she may thought it was a flex, it came across a little bit sad, actually. And not sad because we have never been in Summer Walker's position, because I can guarantee you many of us have. But in this situation, I feel like it goes a little bit deeper. And what I mean by that is what lies beneath the soil of a woman feeling like she will accept a piece of a person is hurt, is trauma, is disappointment above all, because I think oftentimes when we have been dealt with situations where people have let us down, when our hopes have been up, but they were deflated by other people's actions, we tend to expect the least of people. And once you hit that point where you expect the least of people, you no longer have hope or desire to have the elevated version of something. And oftentimes, that a person will take advantage of that feeling. They know exactly what you have been through. I'm pretty sure through some pillow talk as well as some public news, Risha Kid is aware of Summer Walker's situation. She is a mother of, I believe, 4 kids, and with different fathers. And in that situation, she has also been public with a lot of her recent relationships or hookups. And with that being said, he understands that maybe her desire for commitment is low. And oftentimes people use that to their advantage. Is that all Rich the Kid's fault? No, because Summer Walker is a grown woman. She's a mother, and she's more than capable of setting boundaries and handling her own. I believe Summer Walker is a smart girl. However, again, like I said, when you have been disappointed or have had issues in the past, you end up thinking the less of a situation and kind of being like, whatever happens, just happens, regardless of what I actually would like, which is probably a loving, supportive, kind, loyal man. I'm going to settle for what I can get. If it makes me feel good, if it's a good time, I'm with it. And again, this is not a foreign tale, as many people, especially women who may not have had strong and reliable male figures in their life, this is an outcome. And so this story goes beyond Summer Walker. It goes into the idea of what disappointment does to you. Disappointment has the ability to have a lasting and lingering effect, and it ripples throughout your life. Disappointment can make you angry. Disappointment can make you rude. Disappointment can make you unkind. Disappointment can even make you ill, to the point where your mental capacity to be able to have healthy relationships, it dwindles, because the disappointment doesn't allow you to set expectations anymore. And once you've been disappointed enough, all hope is out of the window, and you grab at the strings of what you can get. And am I calling Summer Walker desperate? No. But am I calling Summer Walker hurt? Yes. In her video, she displays a sense of almost delusion in what Tori should do versus what she's going to do. And almost in like a, how dare you even expect for him to be faithful to you? Why won't you let me see him? And any person just looking like that, they'll be like, what? Why are you accusing me of being dumb by not allowing you to see my man? Now, can Tori Kelly lack boundaries as well due to, her spouse's history? Maybe. But maybe that's something that her and Risha Kid is working out. Who knows? However, like I said, the public display of this back and forth, I feel like just overshadowed the real problem. And that is hurt, and that is disappointment. Another thing I would like to bring up that when I saw this, I was just like, oh, wow, was the blatant excuse for non-commitment being subject to just monetary gain. Because what I feel like Summer Walker was trying to portray was that Risha Kid provided her with also financial incentives, right? Trips, maybe some money, maybe some houses, real estate, I don't know. But to say that that was her motive for wanting to be with him, I don't think that's the complete truth. Because again, going back to the void that needs to be filled due to your disappointment, the money could be just an icing on a cake, but the real need, the real necessity was the attention and the time that she actually desires. And so a lot of times off of her, we try to substitute monetary exchanges for the thing that we really want. And that's somebody to really care about us, somebody to really appreciate us, somebody to see us, desire us, and want more with us. And oftentimes, when you're met with that rejection, you kind of just diminish your feelings and just go after the superficial, low hanging fruit. And that's what gifts and trips and things like that to make us feel better about the decisions that we're making. And unfortunately, it happens. It happens to many of us. And this is also a lesson for young women to witness how this looks publicly. Being a person to subject yourself to this humiliation publicly, it tells a bigger picture of what's really going on. And I'm hoping that young people don't see this and actually admire this behavior or consider it a norm when it comes to you dealing with a guy or dealing with a partner, because it's not. Is it something that we go through sometimes? Sure. But to go toe to toe and back and forth with somebody who's not even mine, I don't think that's a good idea. And so I'm hoping that the lesson that's being shown here is to have respect for yourself, to not necessarily go after the low hanging fruit just because you're trying to fill a void. And maybe you can fill the void in other ways, right? Until you find a person that can appreciate you or give you the things that you really want internally, then maybe the void can be filled in other healthy ways, in other habits, right? Loving on your children, having a hobby, perfecting your craft, all of these things, reading, traveling, all of these things that, it may not completely pacify your feelings, but it can give you purpose and give you substance. So that way, when somebody else comes into the picture, their presence is an addition, not necessarily the gift itself. The ironic part of this situation is that, again, we have been longing for Summer's into this trilogy of finally over it. And in this situation, it doesn't seem like she's completely over it. I feel like, and just like a lot of women, myself included, when you feel like you're over it, you said, I've blocked, I've deleted, I've done all the things because, we know her relationship history, and she finally feels like she's over the things that made her triggered in the past. Here comes another situation that opens up that wound, and now you're still not over it. You thought that scab was healed, right? You thought it was healed, but it's not, because it's difficult to actually allow time to heal the wound. Right? We want to make sure, we want to put some Neosporin on it. We want to wipe this. We want to clean it. We want to put alcohol on it. We want to put a Band-Aid on it. We want to put some Neosporin on it. We want to do all the things and keep touching it, keep picking at it, instead of just letting time do its thing and your body do its thing and letting it heal. And I think the same can be said about your wounds, your internal wounds. Sometimes trying to exacerbate or trying to speed up the time it takes for you to heal can only make matters worse, right? Because you're substituting the time with these other things that's only doing nothing but picking at the wound. And you're not even giving it time to actually heal. And unfortunately, in this case, I feel like it's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit, maybe some therapy, maybe some, positive coping mechanisms that will get Summer to a place, or just get women like Summer to a place where their integrity isn't compromised for the sake of a man's attention that's not their man. I read a meme somewhere that says, why am I doing the most over somebody that's treating me like an option? And I think, I honestly, it's simple enough, but it's so true, because you deserve to be a priority in somebody's life. You deserve to have someone's full attention. You deserve to have monogamy or loyalty to you if you're a loyal person yourself. And I feel like oftentimes we settle for qualities and characteristics of people who don't even live up to your own character just for the sake of having someone. And as many times as we have done the work, done the therapy, all the things, we keep subjecting ourselves to individuals who have not done the work, who have not, tried to be a better person. And then again, that wound gets opened. I hope this situation can open Summer's eyes to see how well she is loved, how much her fans adore her, how much her fans really want better for her. We're already rooting for her as she is coming out of her shell and being more vocal and showing more of her character. As before, we know she suffered from performance anxiety and things like that. So to see Summer with this much personality, was a treat. But in this way, it only diminishes her brand and diminishes the hard work that she's putting towards her identity. But at the same time, if you want to look at it from a business perspective, this could all be just a hoax, right? This could all just be something where they called each other and said, look, we're going to do this because my album just came out. This is just good promo. This can all be a scheme that Todd set up, right?
Could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bush.
We get that. And shout out to Candy, because I just saw that she filed for a divorce from Todd. And we'll talk about that in another video, because that's definitely something worth mentioning. But yeah, so shout out to Summer. This was a good lesson, I say, for a lot of young women, including myself, to just witness how detrimental disappointment can be. It's not just a surface level thing. It can grow roots and really spread into the other areas of your life. And it can also diminish all the hard work that you're doing, trying to grow and be a better person, a better mother, a better friend, and a better partner. So shout out to Summer Walker. I hope that she finds some healing. I hope that she grows and learns from the situation. And I hope all parties can actually part ways amicably, okay? Because what we don't want is, a joke to get out of hand. We don't want this to get out of hand and turn to a situation that didn't even need to be quite that deep. Because, at the end of the day, So that is the end of this episode. I just had to come and talk to y'all about this. Until next time, you cannot manifest the things that you feel like you don't deserve. So create the life that you want and look to the sky for grace. Bye-bye.